Welcome back to another day of IBN Presents the 12 Days of Bourbon Hunting. Sarah, this is actually the second to last day.
Yeah, we're almost to the end.
Oh, and
as the year comes to an end, the year of bourbon hunting.
Exactly. As we've been giving you these 12 days of videos in a row as a gift to you all. If you'd like to give us something back, you don't have to. But if you're not already subscribed to us, you can do so. About half of you all are subscribed. The rest that watch these videos aren't. So it would mean a lot, and we'd be honored if you would be a subscriber. For those of you who already are, welcome back, and we appreciate you. Laser codes.
Yeah, things I...
Two words that strike aggravation in the hearts of some bourbon drinkers.
I guess.
And anticipation in the hearts of others. We sort of fall more on that laser codes side, just because who wants to add one more thing into the FOMO of bourbon drinking and collecting? And
I don't know, I think it's good to have information, but I am a data person.
It is, and I feel like the people who are really into it like that sort of inside knowledge. Like, yeah, I'm looking for Russell's 10, but a certain laser code, if you know, you know, type of thing. So to kind of set this all up, there was this rumor that started, and I don't know exactly who or where it got started. It was suggested that a certain laser code had some rejects or at least just some 15-year-old Russell Reserve barrels in there, because the bottling of the 10-year happened right after the 15-year, which came out this year.
So I guess the barrels that didn't get selected to go in for that 15-year release, they were like, hey, what are we gonna do with these? They're not going in the 15-year, so what are we gonna do? And then you just blended them into the 10-year.
Correct.
The theory.
That's the theory. Now we'll talk about the logic behind that later, but what we're doing in this episode is we have one of the laser codes here, and you always ask, what does this have to do with hunting?
Yes, what does this have to do with hunting?
Curiosity sort of got the cat, right? So we searched on shelves for the laser code, as we progressionally did, and we didn't find any, as you can see here. Then I remembered I got a Russell's Reserve 15-year through Shared Pour, and the deal was you got a package of 2 of their 6-year ryes, 2 of their 10-year bourbons, Russell's Reserves, and then the 1 15-year. Opened them both, looked at the laser code, and they were both the LLME laser code.
What luck. So we've had a lot of luck this year with Russell's 10, just doing really well for us in blinds, doing well in flight fights. It's kind of become, you know, I would say the rising star of the year. Maybe we shouldn't have the value. We shouldn't have been overlooking it like we were. I guess we're here to kind of prove or dispel this rumor that this particular give our opinion on how much better this particular laser code is than this one that we've been enjoying throughout the year.
Yeah. Now we bought this one over here, which is the older version for us now, for a flight fight of Russell's, and we wanted to make sure we had a 2024 edition. Turns out we didn't even buy a 2024 edition, because if you look at the laser code, it is November of 2023.
Close enough.
Close enough. We definitely bought it in 2024, so for what that's worth.
So that's a 2024.
But this is the bottle that won Russell's, or I should say the Wild Turkey flight fight, so that's why it's in here.
Well, let's get into it.
You want to start with?
I want to start with the
winner.
Well, we'll call this our everyday Russell's 10.
Which is this guy.
Smells great. Smells like
Wild Turkey. Yeah, exactly. It smells rich. Smells like 10-year going on.
Smells like a
90 proof.
90 proof, 10-year-old Wild Turkey product.
Exactly. All right. Well, to your health. Yeah.
The age, the quality, for the price, I think it's great.
A little bit of oak on there. It's, still coming through the age on that 90 proof.
Right, but so, yeah, very approachable. So it's an oak, but it's, subdued. It's gentle, delicate, nice delicate spice also, but it's there.
It's there.
Definitely.
Get a second sip on my palate. Fantastic. For the money, fantastic.
Great value.
Yeah.
I'll stand by this one.
Absolutely. Okay, now here's the laser code. I told you it was the LLME, but to get specific, because there are different days.
Let's get specific.
This was May 19th. And I bring that up because David Jennings, Rare Bird 101, he put out an article back in October of this year talking about the laser code thing. I think at that time, his was the 20th. Today, I watched Jason from the Master and Drum, his episode about this laser code thing. His was the 17th, which is my birthday.
That is your birthday.
May 17th. This is the 19th, and from looking around today, I haven't seen anyone talking about the 19th.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
So, exclusive on a very now old topic.
Well, there's a difference in the nose. I get a lot more concentrated oak and spice in the nose on the second one.
We'll call this one
Laser
Code. The Laser Code version. They both have laser codes, but you know what
You get
mean.
what we're saying.
I find them to be fairly similar, but I
Somewhat similar.
do think maybe this one has a little bit more. The Laser Code version has a little more oak on it.
A little bit more, yeah.
And just to preface, what we're saying here doesn't mean, yes, there is 15-year in here.
We cannot prove that. We don't know.
We could do it with 2 other laser codes that no one's talking about, and they could be different.
True.
And one could seem more older than the other. But, you ready?
More older?
More older. That's what I said. To your health.
It's definitely punchier.
It is. I don't know if I would call it oakier. Well,
I think it's got more wood characteristics.
I don't know. Second sip.
I think it has a nice mouthfeel.
It does? Oh, yeah. I'll say that.
I think the wood lingers on the finish.
Second sip, much better. I think that first sip was just, I don't know.
I'm going to have to go back and forth between these two, but I know what you're going
Absolutely.
to say. Before we do that,
I want to tell you about our home on the internet. It's
That's
whiskeyambitions.com. It's where you can get the t-shirt and hat that I'm wearing, Sarah. The t-shirt that you were wearing. It's not a long sleeve. It's under a black shirt. That is a short sleeve.
It's a short sleeve.
The Glencairns we're drinking from, in fact, all of our glassware, our Elemental Elixir cocktail syrup, bottle cut candles, more that's always coming soon. That's available at whiskeyambitions.com.
And you can become a patron at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight and join our community for as little as $1 a month and keep up with us in 2025 as we release barrel picks, exclusive content, and more.
Okay, we'll be right back.
All right, back to our everyday. Oh, I'm going back.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think this one has more sweet, desserty, that more caramel vanilla classic than the Laser Code version.
I think it has
comparing them.
more brightness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming across lighter, brighter. There is oak, but it's a touch more tannic, I think. That oversteeped tea kind of lights up the sides of your tongue. Still very good, but we're A/B testing here. It's science.
Now, in theory, if the Laser Code version has older whiskey blended into it, it might be a bit drier. No, I wasn't really focusing on that the last time, but here we go.
I also get a little bit of a tobacco note.
I would have to say it is a little bit drier.
I suppose.
Second sip of this guy. I guess I am getting more of a presence of aged, and maybe that's just because these are both cut down to 90 proof. It just feels so watered down in this one. Like more watered down than in our everyday version.
I think that the question here, what we're going to end up discovering is not necessarily, oh yeah, the Laser Code version is so much better. You definitely need to look for this one. I think it's just like there are differences between different bottlings of any products. And so it's, I guess, worth it to pay attention to some of these things and try for yourself.
Yeah, and I've been trying to think all day of a good comparison or reference. I think it would be like going to your favorite restaurant and one night being like, it just wasn't as good as it normally was. Like, they cooked the steak just a little bit longer than they normally do, or maybe this chef who normally prepares this dish wasn't there. Like, that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not like this can of Coke is different than this can of Coke, because those are more, you follow a specific recipe and it's pretty much, unless we're not talking about decades in between those cans of Coke, it's gonna be the same. Can't really be the same with bourbon, even with small batches, just because of how they mature and age and all that. So this is really more of an exercise in whiskey is somewhat inconsistent product.
It is, yeah. I mean, by its nature, like everyone likes to say, single barrels are great because barrels are like snowflakes, and there's so many variables that go into the making of each barrel of bourbon, including, the mash bill of the ingredients that go in, where it was stored, during what years, how was the climate during those years, what kind of trees, were used in that barrel, how old were those trees, like,
the
you know what I mean?
species of oak.
It can be so many different things. When you blend all these barrels together, each one of them being uniquely different, and you're aiming for the same target every time, but there's never going to be an exact replica.
Yeah.
Batch to batch to batch of these types of releases. So
Agreed.
I think it's fairly consistent, though. I think they're both really delicious, great value for the price. Do I particularly love one more than the other? No, I think they're both really good. I'd be happy with either of these again. Today I'm leaning a little bit more towards this one, the quote Laser Code version, but
Yeah.
I think they're both great.
So I do kind of have some information. It's sort of, now it's time to reveal who the murderer really is.
Who was it? Who done it?
Who done it? So, excuse me while I go to the phone. So unfortunately, I can't cite a source here, which, like in journalism, if you can't cite your source, like is it really journalism? It's just sort of hearsay. So I can't cite a source, but I can tell you that I would have no reason not to believe what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
No reason to doubt.
No reason to doubt.
It's an anonymous source.
Yeah. Russell's Reserve was always like 10 to 12, but they used lower floors during the pandemic. So Wild Turkey used lower floor barrels that were earmarked for Russell's Reserve during the pandemic to get higher yields, because remember, that's when everyone was drinking. And then went allocated on it for a bit when glass and supplies were tough to get. Remember that supply chain issue also in the pandemic? Also, there was a rumor right before the pandemic that they were using stocks in Wild Turkey honey because it was outselling 101 globally and they had to meet demand. Also has never been proven true, but there's also that little nugget of information out there. But here's where logic comes in. Imagine you're talking to one of the Russells. Yeah, why would I dump, I'm a Russell right now, why would I dump 15-year stuff into a 10-year brand when I can sell it for way more money? Now, my other little thing to bring up is David Jennings, Rarebird 101. Go check out his website. If you haven't already, it's a great source of information for Wild Turkey. He wrote this article, as I said, back in October of 2024. And on December 10th, he replied to a thread of comments on there, quote, "There were no Russell's Reserve 15 barrels in LL/ME, Russell's Reserve 10. That was purely speculation on my part, as noted in the review. There is, however, older whiskey in the batch."
Well, I think it's kind of like you're saying, like you mentioned from your source, you know, to point out why would they blend in 15-year when they could sell it regardless of quality in its own release. Also, there are so many people hungry to source that type, you know, that age, or like that. You could easily get someone to buy that like lot of barrels if you did say they were rejected from your Russell's 15 release, but you still had, because they didn't fit the profile, but you still had these 15-year-old barrels. You blend them into this product that costs what, $35?
Yeah.
Or
under $40.
You sell them for, you know, thousands of dollars a barrel to whatever person wants to source, blend, finish, whatever they want to do to them. Why would you not just do that? Ultimately, there are 10 years is the youngest that's in here, but I see what you're saying, like, doesn't make much sense. I could see 10, 12, you know, maybe even 13-year blended in here, but like, why would you?
Yeah, and I'm sort of buying into the more of the, you know, when the pandemic hit and demand rose, they used more barrels from the bottom of the warehouse, which would mean less angel share, which would mean higher yield in the barrel. And then once time corrected itself, they could go back to doing it how they normally did with more mid and higher tier barrels in there. And this just might have been one of the times that someone really noticed it and correlated to the 15-year release and said, hey, I bet there's something there. And then
they hypothesized.
Yeah, it could have been earlier and people just didn't notice because there wasn't that, well, they hadn't bought the 15. They were trying to think of something more concrete than, hey, they just started blending in higher tier warehouse barrels.
Will we ever know for sure? Well, probably not. I don't know.
We got
some definitive information, but no solid answers as to whether some laser codes are significant, you know. So I don't know.
Exactly. And this also isn't the first time this has happened.
No.
There was some Wild Turkey 101 laser code things that supposedly had older. Remember the rare breed where they said look for these laser codes because it's got some older stuff blended into it.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
The rumor mill.
This isn't the first, and it definitely won't be the last time
it will not.
that we're talking about laser codes. But this really wasn't a pick this or that. They're very, very similar. I'm kind of with you. I might edge the laser code version just a touch higher, but really,
for no reason other
here's
than
the best version. Yeah, as always, right? You always blend something together.
I don't think that's always the best version, but sometimes it works out that way.
Oh, you know what? This is the best version. Right. How many times have we heard that at a tasting? It's funny. I love it. Well, hey, there we go. We got one more day of this, folks, so we'll see you tomorrow. But if you haven't subscribed to us already, you can do so by clicking right up here. There's suggestions of other videos down here. Hope to see you over there in one of those. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay, see you all tomorrow. Until then, drink more bourbon.